now.
There we go.
Now, yeah. So this is kind of our
we are
behind the scenes, and then I edit this part out when we go to the podcast.
Okay. My
Does that make
thing,
sense?
yes, like we had talked about
Okay.
with the surprise or no surprise. Mine isn't a surprise, like, oh, I want to catch you off guard, but more I'm curious your gut reaction on this. Nothing earth-shattering or no sneak attack.
That's fine. I don't mind sneak attacks.
And then I had one other, if we have time, which is a total WICKWICK in the kitchen article, which is not new. I mean, I've had this thing saved forever, but I got it out last week to use. And there's so many tips in there that I was like, I bet you know them, most of them.
Okay,
holy crap, I had no idea. But I thought this is perfect just to talk briefly about and maybe link, because it's been phenomenally life hacking for me in the kitchen.
Okay, cool. And I have a episode of Married with No Children that I want to talk about.
I remember that show. And what did Sons of Anarchy was what the wife went on to. Okay, that's
and actually now she's on Big Bang Theory. I know.
I saw that and I was like, oh my gosh. And he is like, it's amazing.
Well, he's on Modern Family. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. But it took me so long with both of those shows to get out of my head Married with Children. I didn't even watch Married with Children, but it took me many episodes to divorce them from those characters.
Yeah, they were. I did, but I was younger. The younger brother, I just looked him up actually, because now I was like, where is he now? The younger brother, he's 2 years older than me. So he's 42.
Wait, not the dad.
No.
Oh, okay. I was like, dang, he did not age well.
No, the son. The son is 40. He's 42 now.
I was thinking Al Bundy. Al Bundy must be like 60.
He's got to be my parents' age.
Okay. I was like, oh my gosh, if he's 42, then I am feeling really good about the aging process.
Now I have to look it up because that's what I do. Al Bundy, IMDb. Here we go. Oh no, we don't want Al Bundy. What's his? Ed O'Neill.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh my gosh. See, I couldn't have come up with that.
He was born in 1946. So he's 70.
Okay, right? He looks great. Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
when I thought he was 42, I was worried about him, but now he looks good.
That's funny.
So I'm set. Okay. I've got my WICKWICKer of the week.
We gotta go. All right. Who wants to go first? Do you want to bring us in and then lead in and then transition to Married with Children and then end with the kitchen tips? Does that sound?
Say that one more time. So I'll lead in and then
do your thing, and then I'll come in. We'll transition somehow to Married with Children, which will go seamlessly.
Perfect. Okay, I'll do my article that was interesting to me, and then you do yours. And if we have time, we'll toss in the kitchen tips at the end, because these have been I'm so not a believer in life hacks. Anyway, I'll save it. Okay. Episode 31.
Episode 31. All right, you ready? Am I bringing us in?
Yeah, you bring us in.
All right, ready?
I'm ready.
Welcome to the WICKWICK podcast. Ronnie and Carla here. And it's episode 31.
31. I did not. We do a behind the scenes recording. So if you watch the video on YouTube, we have a YouTube channel, you can see and kind of see us getting prepared to launch the podcast. And I'm now laughing because I did not do this to like sneak attack. But I'm laughing that I have next to me and again, you can only see it if you do the video, LaCroix. I am addicted to this. And it's quintessential WICKWICK for me. First of all, I had no idea how you said it. And I, of course, called it LaCroix. I don't know why. But it rhymes with enjoy. So I now know.
I saw that online and I was so grateful that someone said rhymes with, because I never knew how to say it either.
I'm embarrassed because it's like, so I thought I was fancy, but I did not. But I've talked repeatedly about my deep and abiding love for Diet Coke. I just love it. I love the bubbles. I love the sweet chemical taste. I don't do... Just not my thing. I'm not desserts. I'm never fast food. So I am a little bottle of Diet Coke every single day. No guilt. Don't care. But I have discovered, and we're going to need to put up a picture somewhere. I've put up a bunch on my Facebook page. LaCroix must have relaunched, because I drank them back in the day in all these different flavors. And I have filled our entire wine built-ins.
I have seen your photos.
Yes. Although this is not my caveat PSA, is last night for dinner, my daughter said, can I have one? Because she knows I'm a hoarder. And I said, yeah, I was feeling benevolent. What flavor do you want? And she said coconut. And my response was, yeah, we all want coconut, but it's at the bottom of the built-in. She's like, oh, it'll be fine. So she pulls out the coconut and they all cascaded down. So may not have been my best idea. You got to drink them from the top, but it's my WICKWICK without even, it shocks me at how not a sacrifice it feels. It's what you've always said with the food. If it's there, if it's readily available, if it's the purchased, pre-cut, pre-washed veggies, you're more likely to eat them. Having this wine built-in stuffed with just sparkling water makes it so simple. There's no sacrifice. I don't think, oh, I wish this could be a Diet Coke.
It's funny because I'm a big water drinker. That's like my soapbox stance is and my husband's tired of hearing it, but I'm like, we're human beings. We're meant to drink water. I just don't understand. The fascination with drinking anything besides water.
You don't mind it.
I don't. I mean, I think I used to, and then I just kind of gotten used to it. But I mean, even in high school, I thank my mom because when I was little, I wasn't allowed to drink soda. We were a juice or water or milk family. That was it. We didn't get anything else.
We were. Yeah.
And then, but I remember like once I hit high school and then I was very keenly aware of my weight and I knew that juice had calories.
Yeah.
I started, because I would drink juice, like I probably drank double calories in apple juice.
We've talked about that, but it's the very fine that
it's not
gained
good.
So much weight on that from college because I had it was 87 and I thought juice is good for us.
Juice is good. Right. So I stopped drinking juice mostly just to save calories when I was younger. And I just replaced it with water. And then I feel like it's one of those things where once you start to do it, you crave it more and more and more.
And I feel the difference.
I have anecdotal evidence because even my husband was raised in a soda family. They all drink soda. They all drink diet soda. My husband drinks regular soda. They have soda at every meal. They have soda when they go to restaurants.
Okay, yeah, we didn't do that, but I still love it.
They are a soda family. But my father-in-law, I've been pushing them to drink more water. I always do. And he's like, he probably drinks way more water than he does. So he still drinks soda. I'm pretty sure he might have actually weaned it out.
I love the bubbles. I mean, LaCroix is just as satisfying to me.
I think it's the bubbles and just I don't know, the flavor. And then they've combined it with foods and now they want those combinations. And that's when my husband and I talk. My husband's like, I can't have chips without soda. And I'm like, well, you can. You're just choosing not to.
And I am your husband with I can't have whatever it is without carbonation. I finally realized that's really what it is for me. And I don't care. Like I remember back in the 90s, there was a study that came out talking about our bones, carbonation, how they might not be great for them. I'm like, I don't even care. It's such a big change for me. But I think of you every time because it's just the same as what you would always say and people rave about food preparation. I'm okay with that. But the drinking could be my downfall and having it right there. I don't reach for the Diet Coke.
I don't buy them. I do enjoy them. And I used to buy seltzer now and then as a change. And I would put I did the whole let's put a little juice in it or lime juice or whatever. And then I don't know. I don't really like bubbly. And I think it's because I wasn't raised on soda. I wasn't constantly drinking carbonation. And so now, and honestly, I'm one of those weird people. I don't know if this is a thing. I think listeners will have to let me know. But sometimes, probably, I don't know, 80% of the time, once I drink something bubbly, I hiccup. And then I have the hiccups.
Oh, interesting.
All day. And it's one of those things and I get so mad because I'll forget. And like my mom has the LaCroix.
No, Ron, enjoy.
That's in my mind. I'm like, LaCroix. So she has them. And when I'm at her house, just for convenience, I'm grabbing them out of the fridge all day because they're there. And I know if I also bought them, I would grab them all day too, but I don't really need them. So I don't want the overhead of buying cans and storing them.
Yes.
I don't even do. I'm too lazy.
And it's wasteful. I mean, I own that. And that's why for me, it's the consummate what you can, when you can. I don't care. I'm aware of, that it's too many canned waste. And I probably do 2 a day.
That's how I am. We've talked about this before. I know we have showers. I don't care. I'm taking a long ass shower. I'm sorry. It's my, that's my thing. And I'm not going to apologize for it. I feel so blessed and so lucky. And I'm so grateful that I live in a time and a place and I don't know, a status. I don't even know what to say where I have running warm water in my house. and I'm going to take advantage of it.
Yes. Okay, this goes perfectly into the article that I've brought for
Oh,
today,
good.
which I felt like I have it pulled up now on my computer. I felt like it was super old, but I'm looking at the date and it was from September 16. But it talks about self-care. And this was really eye-opening for me because I, for a decade, worked as a personal trainer, coach, and just blogging for so long. We always talk about self-care. And give me 2 self-care things off the top of your head.
Okay. Well, my showers, my long
Okay.
showers for sure. And it sounds, I don't know, this sounds like, so people are going to roll their eyes, but my CrossFit every day is my self-care. It's my hour to myself. I don't have my cell
See, and
phone.
that's
I don't,
okay.
and I mean, I know that's like
Yes.
people like work out or whatever, and like, oh, you're so lucky because you like working out, whatever. But now it is, if I want to think back at things that would be self-care before, well, now I take small indulgences all the time. Like I'm obsessed with Juice Jam on it's a game on Facebook. And you know what? I go,
That's a good example.
I'm taking 10 minutes right now and I'm playing Juice Jam. And I'm not going to make any apologies for it.
That's what this article, it's from The Mighty, and it talks about which I found this fascinating, that people who don't work online may not. The SEO slug is self-care, how to take care of yourself when you have depression, which is fascinating to me because the title of the post is What Nobody Tells You About Self-Care. And the article begins talking about just what you said. We think of self-care, oh my gosh, you've had a really hard week. You should get a mani-pedi. You've had a really hard day. You should practice self-care. Why don't you take a bubble bath?
Right.
And the article continues, and it reminded me of a woman we both know who is actually my WICKWICker of the week, but saying, sure, self-care is the indulgent stuff, a massage, watching trashy TV, whatever it is. But self-care is also the hard stuff. And this was really eye-opening to me. I don't think of things like making doctor's appointments that I'm dreading or I don't look forward to as self-care, or taking that really hard step and quitting something, whether it's a job, whether it's toxic friendships, as self-care. You kind of nailed it with the exercise and taking care of your body, but things like mammograms, pap smears, they mentioned enemas, are also self-care. And so it was really eye-opening to me in that I like to think I'm really grounded, but I do think when friends come to me and are stressed, I tend to go to that fluff self-care, the mani-pedi, massage, trashy book, Bravo TV. And I don't think of, I love the title, What Nobody Tells You About Self-Care, that self-care is also the hard stuff. It's not necessarily the stuff that's easy to do.
Well, it's funny. And you know what, and hard is such the wrong word, but there is no better word to say it. Yes. And I think about this all the time when if I have to take time. So I have this tradition of going on vacation with my boys once a year. And travel is something that's really important to me. And it's part of, I would say, my self-care, right? It's how I'm unwinding and just how I feel like I'm actually, I don't know, living in a weird way. But sometimes I have to say, okay, if I don't sit down and do this and plan this now, I'm not going to be able to enjoy it later. So it's just, and people kind of laugh, oh, it's not hard to take vacation, but it is hard to plan it and take the time out and figure it out. You know what I mean? Like which airlines are going to fly, who's renting the car? Do I have enough money for that? I'm not sure. Like, let me research Airbnbs, Ronnie. Let me do this, let me do that. And it's like, I want to, sometimes when I get frustrated, because, well, the husband doesn't see this as a job, but it's a job.
But valuing yourself enough to put in the hard work, even though it's self-care. And I think that was the disconnect for me. I never connected. I have really bad eye genetics, really bad teeth genetics. I hate going to the dentist. I hate going to the eye doctor, but I do it. I never would have deemed it self-care.
Oh, definitely self-care. I just made an appointment for my physical.
I wouldn't have thought about that. It's taking care of myself, but I wouldn't have called it self-care.
Well, and I think this goes back to the autopilot I like to bring up all the time. Like a lot of times anytime, I feel like sometimes anything that we do that's forces us out of the autopilot like mode is kind of hard sometimes. And it's, again, hard's not the right word. It's just, it requires energy, and it takes effort.
Yes, it demands effort. And
Yeah.
I had gotten into I am case in point for you, like my husband travels Monday through Friday, but I really probably, I love that I add the caveat, could look forward and say, okay, in January, I'm going to take this week and you need to be home and I'm going to go to XYZ place. But it feels really exhausting to think what you said. How do I fly there? Where do I want to go? What will I do when I get there? Am I going to rent a car? So self-care demands work and effort. I had never framed it that way.
Yeah,
To me, it seemed like the instantaneous stuff.
And people think like, oh, you take vacations. It's so, and I'm like, yeah, but they do, to be able to make those things happen, it requires energy. It requires time out of your day to research. And God, the hours I have spent researching random things to try to find the best price to make it happen. Because, resources aren't unlimited. It doesn't even matter what income bracket you're in, whatever bracket you're in, your resources are not unlimited. So you have to, it takes energy and effort to like plan something within your means. And that's across the board. And I find it kind of humorous sometimes when people either roll their eyes or they think, and I'm like, well, you could take the effort and figure out a weekend to get away if you wanted to, but you're not doing it because it does require work. And it sounds so like a little insulting to say that, but it's true. It just requires energy. So same with the self-care, and I think I hate making my physical appointment. I despise it. I don't. And you know what? Partially I hate it. And I'm curious your thoughts on this. I feel like our medical system, unless you have a bleeding, gaping wound or you're going in, they're kind of look at you like you have 10 heads. Like, why are you here? And I'm like, doesn't everyone recommend I get a physical? Because that's why I'm here.
And does that make it not self-care? Because I was thinking about that, the medical appointments, and another one they put in there, which was big for self-care, is paying your bills. And I thought both can produce anxiety if you're paying your bills. And I've been there. I've been to the place where I'm like, oh my gosh, the electricity is going to be turned off. So I need to figure out if this credit card will hold the electricity bill. So both can produce anxiety.
Right.
Can we still view them as self-care? But according to this article, the answer is yes. Ending these toxic relationships can produce anxiety. But in the end, and she goes on to say, sometimes I always thought of self-care as immediacy. I got a pedicure. My feet look pretty. I feel so good about myself. And she says, you know what? Often with self-care, we don't even know if it worked till months down the road. So check back with me. And I thought, I'd never thought of it like that.
That is interesting. It actually reminds me of like all the habits that I'm doing. Like last week, I talked about that habit tracker.
Yes.
I'm not going to see the benefit of taking my supplement every day, but maybe 10 years from now, all that fish oil will actually make a difference.
But it's still self-care. That's a perfect time because it is still self-care. And I hadn't thought I've gotten really fluff. I don't know. It surprised me that really was my mindset, that I wouldn't have thought self-care was telling my friend, Betty, I just can't listen to your problems anymore, but it is.
Well, yes. And the problem is too, though, if someone comes to you, in that stress state and they want kind of a friend to cry on, and you're like, it's easy to be the soft stuff, go get a mani-pedi, go get your eyebrows done.
Yes.
Let's go to the salon. And it's harder to tell them, well, maybe you need to divorce your husband or remove this room.
Yes. Or I can't right now. I might be able to take this on next week. I'm really sorry, but I just can't be there for you right now. And that probably would be what the author would refer to as radical self-care, but it would be really anxiety producing for me. And yet it would still come under the umbrella of self-care. And that felt like such a dichotomy for me. It's self-care but it's still causing me anxiety. The whole article was fascinating and shifted the way I'm trying to focus on things I do for me. Because if I spent time while my daughter was at school paying bills and doing things like that, I probably would have said I didn't have any time for self-care today. But that is self-care. But
you are self-care because
so it was just
you're not living in a cardboard box on the street because
you
take care of what you need to take care of.
So it was fascinating. I just thought I hadn't framed it as such. We can put the link up on the post. I'd be curious what other people think.
We will. Well, and it's funny. It kind of leads into kind of. Somehow we can always make a transition. I'm not sure how, but
I know it's for me.
It's kind of uncanny how it happens. It's totally luck. So I guess self-care, and I wanted to bring up my habits, and I wanted to talk about an episode of Married with Children. So
okay, before you continue, this habit app, is it is it only Android?
I did not know it was only Android.
Because I was like, as soon as we hung up from the podcast, I went to put it on my daughter's iPad. And
I was like, very disappointed when yes, people pointed that out to me on my website.
Oh, they did? Okay.
Yes. Well, it's funny because I'm a little spoiled because I just assume apps are cross platforms.
Me too.
I don't know. And then, I haven't, because I really haven't hit an app in a long time that was only available on one of them. But yeah, and I have a Samsung, so yes, I just happened to find it, and then and I think somebody reached out and asked the developers, and I don't think they even have a. I don't think they did. Yes, I don't think they have one in the works. But that said, there are other habit apps out there.
That's what we did.
The idea is not unique to them. That just happened to be the one that I found, and it was the first one I tried, and I really liked it.
Okay, I had to ask. Continue with I'm Married with Children.
So Married with Children, I am showing my age, I guess, but I was a Married with Children fan when I was, I guess, a teenager. I don't even know what years it was on. Now I have to find.
I don't either. I feel like I was not too old for it, but I was maybe.
Well, you probably were a busier time in your life.
Yes.
So yeah, like it's funny that's how I always think about. This sounds funny, but Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came out, I think, when I was already a teenager, so I wasn't.
Or me with Gilmore Girls. I didn't watch any of it because I was in college and I wasn't watching television.
Yeah, so 87 to 97. So that's right.
That's what. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was my 11 to 21, which is prime TV watching time for.
What was the theme song?
Oh, Love and Marriage.
Oh, that's right. I remember it being funny.
Go together like a horse.
Oh, that's right.
Oh my gosh, I cannot believe I remembered that. I pulled that out of nowhere.
That is really good.
So funny.
I've got to say one more time that I'm shocked that either of those two characters, it's a credit to what phenomenal actors and actresses they are. Al Bundy and
Ed O'Neill. Yes,
Ed O'Neill and
what is her name?
I don't know that I would even recognize it.
She was on Sons of Anarchy now, and like I said, she was in an episode of Katie Seagal.
Yes, that they have finally separated themselves from that because they were so closely connected for so long.
They were, and I always say, oh, she looks really good. I have no idea how old she is, but I think because she was playing a mom when I was a kid, that she should be my mom's age. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, there's an episode, and I always remember this episode, and this again probably shows age, and I think we've talked about this before, about how so many pop culture references pop into your brain when you're having conversations with people. This happens to me. I don't know if it's a normal thing.
Oh, no, it's totally me as well.
Yeah. So like I'll be talking to someone and they'll say a quote or something, and then I'll be like, oh, just like this movie, or oh, like this song. And they're like looking at me like I have 10 heads. So the one I always think of, and it's funny why it comes up, but there's an episode called Kelly Knows Something. And in the episode.
Is she the daughter?
She's the daughter. She's,
okay.
What's her name now? She's going to kill me.
I don't think I'll even remember. I don't.
Oh, you will. As soon as yeah, she still acts all the time. She was just in the remake of Vacation.
Oh, that's right. That was a good movie.
I didn't see it yet. I don't want to.
You didn't?
No.
I didn't want to see it. It is laugh out loud hilarious.
My husband he watched it stay up late one night when I was sleeping, and he said the same thing. Really Kelly Bundy, who is Christina Applegate. That's her name, Christina. Did you remember Adventures in Babysitting, or was that?
Yes, I had forgotten.
No. Don't tell the mom the babysitter's dead.
I love her. Yes.
So there's an episode where, and she, you can look back at the 80s, and those shows are funny because they were less politically correct. So, she's the dumb blonde daughter who, is over-sexualized, and she's always dating different guys and whatever. And they had no problem with showing her midriff back then. And I remember I was obsessed with Kelly Bundy. Like, I wanted to look like Kelly Bundy. I wanted her body because she was so skinny. And
yes, and that was
that's probably one of the
to aspire to then.
Exactly. So anyway, there's an episode where she's going to go on a sports trivia show. And what they find out about Kelly is that she's not actually stupid. She's not dumb. She's not dumb blonde. She can only remember but so much information. And then if she remembers new information, she loses old information.
Oh, okay.
Do you remember what I don't know if you know this
I don't
episode.
think I've seen this one.
So I'm actually going to, I actually found the episode on YouTube, so I'll link to it. And there's like the part in the episode where her brother Bud is explaining this to their father. Like, well, no, Kelly's actually, she can hold so much information. And if you tell her new stuff, she just loses old stuff. And so in the whole episode, basically is her father, teaching her all about sports, and she's retaining all this information and she's losing everything else. Oh and then she goes on to the game show and she's killing it. She's winning. She knows everything about every sports. And then the last question to win the whole thing, I'm going to give a spoiler alert for a 30-year-old she has to, now her father was a football player. He was a football player and he won like whatever the high school 4 trophy final game or something. And the final question is, the answer is her father. And she can't remember it because she lost that piece of information because they kept stuffing more information in her. And I always, for some reason, thought this was such a clever idea. And, you know, I never really thought too deeply about it because why would I?
No, well, that's such a great visual, too. All of the information coming in.
Yeah, and actually there's a scene in the show where they have information coming in one ear and other information leaving the other ear. But I was thinking about this, and not as it applies to knowledge, but as it applies to healthy habits, right? So I can only tackle so many things at once before I start losing things on the other end. And I thought way back, you know, now it's been almost like 11, 12 years when I started, when I first started trying to lose weight and change my habits and eat healthier and move more and all those lovely things. I only focused on pretty much 3 things, which was I committed to keeping a food journal. I committed to blogging once a week when I went to my Weight Watchers meeting. That was it. And I committed to moving more. Nothing, no gym membership, no classes, no nothing. Those were the only 3 things that I committed to. And I think it was the first time ever in my entire life when I've attempted to make positive change that I focus on such small things. You know, it used to be like, I used to like, I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. and I'm going to go running. And
so you increased it as you went along.
Well, no, but before that point, I would always try to change the world overnight. Then I focused on it. And I realized that my threshold were just these little things. Yeah. And then, yes, once I mastered them, I was able to kind of adopt them and add on, but not until I was in a way mastered them, or in a way they became so seamless and such not like a truly healthy habit, like not something I'm making effort anymore to do.
So then you could layer something on top.
I can layer something on top
without losing it. Okay.
And so that episode reminded me, and I don't know what it made me, like I said, I think of the episode all the time. But then I was like, wait, it kind of makes sense when it has to do with habits, because now I look at my habits and it's funny because the things that I find myself doing day in, day out, who for me 10 years ago would have been a humongous undertaking, right? So I start my day every day at 5 a.m. at the gym. That's a humongous. I
think about that too. Like, yeah, 10 years ago, me would have been shocked.
I don't think I would have been. I mean, I tried to do it back then. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. It really took me 10 years to get to the point where, but the funny thing is now it's not a piece of knowledge I have to remember anymore. It's so ingrained. So now in a weird way, I keep adding on things and that just becomes the default. And it's amazing to me how, like, layers is a good word that you use. Like, they do really just layer on. And like,
but how do we know when we've nailed it? How do you know? Are we aware when I'm like, okay, I'm a water drinker. I don't drink Diet Coke anymore. How do I know when that's set so I can add a new thing, which is I watch my sodium?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. I think you just know. Sometimes though, I don't know if they become set. I think you've also move on. So I'll use like weighing in for me. Like I used to weigh in when I was trying to lose weight and use the scale a lot. And it was a habit to get on. I would wake up, I would be naked, I would pee, and then I would get on the scale. And it took me a long time to kind of disconnect from that number and make it just information. And then I would journal it. I would put it on the blog. Today I weighed this. But then no longer, that wasn't really serving me anymore. So that habit kind of went away. It wasn't something I replaced it with something else. Like I replaced it with going to CrossFit every day or whatever.
You know, that's a good point. I think about
sometimes that. Sometimes I think
good habits we drop.
Yeah. sometimes you have to be willing to kind of let go of habits that are no longer serving you. And for some reason, I think it's human nature that we think we have to hold on to things.
Especially if they're good for us, because there's a whole group out there that would say weighing yourself every day is really good for you. And so it's letting go.
And
of
I
good
would
habits.
I totally agree. It depending on what your goals are and where you are. And because I do have the experience of that being very beneficial to me when I had different goals. But I think it's the willingness to kind of let things go when you need to, but then also know like when you've adopted one. Like, so I'll take I talked about it this last week, but my running has really, I just really don't have that desire to go out and running anymore. And I have to decide whether or not do I want to force this and continue to run? Like, is it or is it okay to move on? And now I'm taking more yoga. So, yoga came in this year and running came out that year. Kind of like Kelly Bundy, who remembered a new piece of sports trivia, but lost the fact that her father won the big game with 4 touchdowns. So, I don't know. That's kind of what I wanted to bring in and talk about. And I thought it would be fun to kind of go down memory lane.
And I think about that so often in the fall, because it's a Jewish New Year coming up soon. I should know offhand, I'm a bad Jew, let's say beginning of October. And it's also fall. All the leaves are falling. The leaves are shedding these old dried up things so that they can grow new ones. And so I always try to remind myself, it's okay to stop trying to think of something of an example, because good gosh, I do not have as many good habits right now as I might, but it's okay to drop one thing. Let's say it's foam rolling, because I am doing more yoga. And so it's okay to let that foam rolling fall, because I've replaced it with the green leaf of yoga that I'm doing consistently. And that gives me the same sort of benefits. So for me, that's so much of a fall thing, thinking of dropping the dead weight.
I don't even associate it with the season. I feel like it just organically happens. And sometimes I almost have to look back and go,
oh yeah, so good at that.
I used to do that and I don't do that anymore. I don't know. I'm constantly thinking, and it's not a conscious thing. I'm not like, what's next? What's coming next? What's coming next?
But you're good at adding new things.
I think adding new things is what keeps me going. It keeps me interested. And and I mentioned the guitar last week. Like, I'm learning how to play the guitar, which is really not a health. To me, I'm making it like a self-care thing. It's like learn a new skill. I'm older. I'm trying to keep my brain young. Exactly. Yeah. And in a weird way, it's a connection to my dad, who passed away like in 2009. And we didn't really have a very close relationship. And now as I age, I think about our relationship more, and it's kind of sad because I don't really have any way to have any further closure because he's moved on. So like in the weird way, this guitar is kind of my connection to that whole side of my family and that whole side of my life. Look, see, now I'm going to get teary, but yeah, so it's definitely it's like a self-care thing, but it's not, but because I've added that, I mean, there are but so many hours in the day. I can't CrossFit for an hour, take care of the kids, get them to school, work, learn, do my half-hour guitar lesson, take a half-hour run, take a yoga class, make dinner. Like, I just can't fit it all in. And so you have to prioritize. And so like right now, I practice guitar almost every day. I missed yesterday. And I'm actually using an app for that too. I found I am taking lessons. I have a guy I go and take lessons to, but I can't really afford to take them as regularly as I would like to. And
how regularly would you want to?
I mean, I was taking them weekly, but I don't even think I can afford that, to be honest. It's becoming it's not outrageous, but it's still another expense where I'm like, oh God, I can't throw money at this. So I found an app which costs money too, but there's a free version of it. It's called Musician. I'm not gonna say it right. Like musician, but musician.
Interesting.
And I don't know, for anyone who possibly may be interested in learning the guitar, which seems like a totally random thing that somebody might want to do in their 40s. It's a great app. And actually it reminds me of, if you ever played Guitar Hero, it's kind of, I get that same satisfaction playing this, but on a real guitar. So I feel like, hey, I'm actually learning guitar, and it's like that weird satisfaction of, I don't know, like hitting all the notes at the right time. And it actually listens to you and provides feedback. So it's a really, really cool app. I'm really enjoying it.
And did you miss it when you didn't practice yesterday, or no?
I did. Well, no. Well, let's talk about self-care. So it was approximately 9:20. Survivor was on last night, which is a family tradition for us to watch Survivor, even though my oldest is already pulling away and playing
He
Xbox.
is.
Yeah, he's playing Xbox more, and I didn't want to pull him from it. And it's like a social thing. I don't know. I'm probably a pretty laid back mom in this sense, but I feel like he's a really well-adjusted kid. He plays Xbox, and that's his phone. Like when I was 11, 12, 13, that's when you start to talk on the phone with your friends.
4 hours. Yes. I would get home from school and immediately call them.
Right. And so what he does is he gets home and he gets on the Xbox to talk to his friends because they're all on the Xbox. So it's like, it's his phone. It's his way, like in a weird way. Not only does he get to talk to his friends and, they're all going to middle school. So they're all talking about they're going to different middle schools. So like he's not going to the same school as some of his friends from elementary school, but they're still friends on Xbox. So for him to be able to keep those ties.
Yes.
Yeah. So I did not like pull him off the Xbox to watch.
And that's his self-care, as silly as it sounds. I
totally agree. And I totally respect it. I know, of course, I'm a very big, like, you got to draw boundaries now. And, I pull him off when certain times where I'm like, you've been on way too long. It's time to get off and go do a chore or whatever. But anyway, I didn't pull him off to come up and watch Survivor with me, even though we've watched Survivor together probably for the last 4 years. That was the first show we started watching as a family with him, where he was old enough to follow along and understand what was happening and actually show interest and have opinion. I remember watching the first year, he must have been 7, where he had an opinion.
On forever. Yes.
Yeah. And I remember thinking, oh my God, this is awesome. I finally get to like experience something with my child and have him express his own independent thought as separate from mine. That sounds kind of weird, but I was very aware of I was just fascinated to hear his take because
I remember that as well. Cause it's no longer, you probably didn't have this, but like Peppa Pig or Curious George.
Oh yeah. We've had Peppa Pig. It's Peppa Pig.
Yes.
And Max and Ruby and all of those. Yes, we're moving on from them finally. But anyway, so I was watching that and it was an hour and a half, I think, last night. It was, it was a little longer because it was the premiere episode. So he came upstairs from the Xbox and we watched the last half hour together, and I looked at the clock and now he's going to bed. And now my husband and I chatted for a little while and I was like, oh, I did not practice the guitar yet. You know what? I'm going to give myself a day off. I think I need to go to bed.
Which is also self-care.
Self-care! Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, we need to have an episode. I don't know if people will be interested, but wow, I'd be so curious about people's feedback on sleep duration, wind down routines, all of that.
I'm such a bad sleeper anymore. It's really, I don't know, I'm getting kind of better. Well, the waking up at 4:30 in the morning is not really helping me.
That's me. And so I get panicky around 9:30.
Yes.
I'm laughing. Yeah. Cause I'm like, oh, I got to get up. It's funny you bring up Survivor because I'm working on this article for Live Strong about catchphrases. And the team kept saying like the Survivor catchphrase. And it took me the longest time, Ronnie, to realize, what are you people talking about? But it was, the tribe has spoken.
Oh yes.
I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't watched this in so long. I had forgotten that was their big phrase. Like, are they still on?
I didn't watch it the first few years. I
totally did.
It doesn't make any sense. I'm like a latecomer Survivor, like, because I didn't start watching it until I guess Ryan was interested in it, and now I'm watching it. But I remember it when it came. I remember distinctly the first season. I watched like 1 or 2 episodes, but I was like, this is stupid.
It's amazing what's not stupid when you watch it with your child.
Yes, when I'm into it, now I get into it, and now this season, if you don't know, now we should just do it like a podcast about pop culture, is Gen X versus millennials, which is even more fascinating.
Interesting.
Because I'm like right in the middle. So I'm like, I don't know.
Yes.
I was like, because I was born, I think they say 77 ends the Gen Xers, and I was born in 76. So I'm like right on that border between both generations. And so it's like I kind of relate to the Gen Xers, and then every once in a while, I was like, oh, with the millennials, like, yeah. I was like, I don't know who to fit in with.
And do they all seem old?
Okay, so
Ryan?
Funny story. No, but I did ask him.
Okay.
I said because I really do associate more with the Gen Xer because I was like an 80s kid, So I said to Ryan while we were watching it, I said, okay, Ryan. So I explained to him the generations. And then, of course, he was like, what's my generation called? I'm like, I have no idea. I don't know either. I don't think they've named you guys yet. I think it's like Gen Z or something. But so I said, okay, Ryan, this is the Gen X thing, the Gen X group. I'm like, do I look as old as they look? And actually, my husband, we're like, do we look like that old? Like, should we be in that group? And he was kind of like, no, you guys look younger. I'm like, yes.
Oh, I know. And isn't that funny? Even when it's from your child and they're probably saying it, not yours, but mine, just to be nice or whatever, I will take that compliment.
Oh
I
yeah.
think
No.
that with babysitters, when they come over, I think, do I seem as old as when I babysat? And I would go over and think, don't talk to me, parents. We have nothing in common. Just go and let me be with the kids.
Which
That
is
could
so
never be
funny
me.
because I always talk my babysitter ears off. Then I'm always like, am I that crazy like
I
mom
know.
who's like, and they're kind of like, shut up. I don't care that you're going to see this movie I never heard of. Like,
I know it. Yes, it is
all
funny.
the
And
time.
yes, it makes me think about, again, another episode, as we age and as hopefully we become more comfortable in our own skin. I mean, I read your blog post from, I guess it was last night, talking about some of the stuff. And I thought, oh, is that perimenopause?
Oh,
When am I going to go through menopause? But as we hit midlife, and if I'm going to live to be 96, right in midlife, and we become more comfortable with ourselves, does old talk replace the fat talk?
Yes, you've
I
mentioned this
think
before.
about that so often. Just, I don't hear from women my age anymore. I mean, they'll say it maybe once in jest. Oh, look, I have the lunch lady arms, joking around. But it's much more the focus on, do I look old? Do I act old? Are my pop culture references old?
Yes. And I, you know, the husband and I talk about it a lot. And I do love, the one thing I do love about being married to someone who's the same age, because we're only 6 months apart.
Oh,
So,
okay.
which I love. I think it's great. We have, you know, a similar outlook on things, and all of our pop culture references are the same.
Yes, that's us.
And we talk about all the time about aging and whether or not like we'll watch MTV and we're classic old, like get off my lawn old people. Like, why don't they play videos of music? Who are these people? What are they wearing? And I'm like, oh my gosh, we're like the parents that are like, and so we both go, but I'm like, but we're not. Why? I was like, but why do we think that I don't know, I guess teenager age group, 20s, is the like, why do they drive the culture? Like, why aren't the 40-year-olds driving the culture? And then I realized at every level, in a weird way, it's just that the mainstream media kind of latches on to that younger age group. But then there are, I don't know, subcultures for the other age groups. And I feel like sometimes I'm like finding them and I was like, oh, look, there's this happy group over here and they're all in their 40s. And I kind of fit in.
Yes. And I think it's a mistake, which is a different show, when I've been working with so many brands where they say our target market is 22, or actually more often younger than that, let's say 17 if it's apparel. And I think, no, that's not your target market, because you need to market to their parents who are buying them this stuff. So it's interesting that so often they latch onto that demographic. This is who we're targeting, but they're still expecting the parent. We have the discretionary income to spend on this stuff for the 16-year-olds.
That's so true.
No.
Yes. Yeah, I think the one thing I like about turning 40 is because I am on the young end of 40 because I just turned 40. Is that now that I am 40, when people do, because no one generally, if someone does think I look younger than I am, and I generally act younger than I am, like, because I'm a goofball and I feel like that helps keep me young, is that now I get to say, oh no, I'm 40. And they'll be like, no. And I'm like, yes.
I know. And so much of it really is back to the health, fitness, outlook, all of it, the energy. Because somebody said to me the other day, you do not look 47. And I thought, I kind of do. And I'm actually fine with that. It's my energy. It's having, when you're energetic, people associate whatever age you are.
Yeah, why wouldn't they say
yes.
like youth with energy?
Great point. Yes.
That is true.
I know. So yes. Okay, I've got something else to share.
I know. I was gonna say, do we have time to ease into your last topic?
Is hilarious, and it makes me feel very youthful, because I bet this is something that either everybody else already knows. I'm pulling this up.
I cannot wait to see something I know.
I bet you know a lot of
knowledge on me right now.
I have saved this. It's from a website which I don't think is all that popular, but it's called Viral Nova.
Never heard of it.
We need to link to this. It's
okay.
18 cooking hacks that are absolutely genius. And I saved this, I can't begin to tell you how long ago, and I refer back to it all the time. Some of them are not that interesting to me. How you can make mayonnaise in your mason jar, how you can, when measuring sticky ingredients, coat your measuring cups with oil for easy cleanup.
I do that.
Not interested in that. But some of these are, this one I am doing this afternoon, and I had to share it. I'm not that big into life hacks, but it felt like the ultimate, what you can, when you can. I need to make cupcakes. when we hang up from our podcast. I need to bring them up to school. I might have time to frost them. Probably not with cooling and all that. This one blew my mind out. No time to ice your cupcakes. Do you know what you do?
Oh, can I tell you what I would do and then see if it matches? Because now I'm really curious. So,
yes, this is not healthy living, but it is what you can when you can. You're in a hurry.
What I would do when I would make cupcakes, and this was more of a calorie saving for me because I didn't want, I don't really like icing, and it adds a big calorie bomb on top.
I wonder if this is.
And you have to wait. So I would put the cupcake batter into the cupcakes, and then before I bake them, I would put sprinkles on top. And then, so then they have sprinkles. Then they have sprinkles, so they're still festive, but they don't have icing. And when my kids were little, they never noticed.
This one is not that big of a calorie bomb. You place one of the big marshmallows on top of each one, right about 5 minutes left to baking, and it melts down and looks like a cap of frosting.
Oh,
on that one. What else? This one you probably know. I am so grateful to have this one. What would you do if you needed to get butter to melt faster and more evenly? Then I just hack at my butter with a knife and throw it in the bottom of a pan.
Okay, if I need it for a recipe, I actually do melt it slightly in the microwave in 10-second increments until I have it to the point that I want.
I have another idea for you.
Okay.
Grate it. Never would have occurred to me.
Oh, that's
brilliant.
Yes. That's what, I grade too. And I've been meaning to do this with garlic, but I do it with ginger root. So I used to think like, you just have fresh ginger in your house. Like, who has fresh ginger in their house? That doesn't make any sense. And then I saw a tip years ago online about cutting it into chunks and freezing it. And I do that now. And then what happens is, A, you could keep it forever because it's your freezer. And B, it's grateable. You don't have to mince it. You just grate it right in your fried rice or whatever you're doing. And it's genius. And I've also heard that tip with garlic. So like get a garlic clove, clean off all the skin, and then freeze the raw cloves. And then you can freeze them right into your spaghetti sauce. And I've been meaning to do that, but I just haven't done it.
And this is the kind of thing that really speeds everything up. It might not be the healthiest, but yes, I would not have thought of any of that. This last one has been a game changer for me as well. And I'm not one to get excited about kitchen stuff. I know what I do, but let me make sure I explain this correctly. I love kiwis. And for my entire life, for the first 46 years, I would hack at them with a peeler. Now, from this article, I hack off the ends with a knife. So now I've got the still skin on kiwi, but the ends are gone. And you take a spoon and you slip it in, slide around the whole thing. Done. This has been like the best time saver for me. And there are a few other tips in the article we can share.
Or you could just eat the skin like I do.
Oh, no. See, I can't. I do that with cucumbers. I can't with kiwi. There's some other good ones. It talks about I hadn't thought about this either. You can make taco shells, which I tend not to use and don't have in the house. But if you take tortillas, which I always have in the house, and drape them over, it tells you what to turn the oven on to, but you drape them over the oven rack.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that.
And bake them. I never thought of that. I am not great in the kitchen. This article was the biggest wealth of information for me with what you can, when you can, keep things moving, make it quick. I refer back to it all the time, so I wanted to
I love little kitchen things, and I kind of feel like I just got my own all the time. I am no longer fearful of buying the pre-cut sweet potatoes and butternut squash. Like I realized I stopped buying
cubed.
Yeah, like I don't know if they're readily available at all produce sections, but in my grocery store, they have a little area where they have these like the store cuts them for you, and they're in like a little plastic container already. So it's like an entire butternut squash just cubed up in little like 1-inch cubes. And I stopped buying butternut squash because I just got tired of, plus it was the summer, and I don't know, you don't feel like having butternut squash soup in July, but I stopped buying them as much because I was like, I don't want to bake it and peel it. I don't want to put it in the microwave. Like I just don't want to deal with this right now. I have too many things going on. And then the one day I saw these little like pre-cut, and I was like, well, I'm buying that. And I started making, I would just put it in broth, boil it, soften it, puree it, and I had homemade butternut squash soup.
It's like the rice and cauliflower. People always tell me when they come over and see it in the freezer. Yes. And they'll say, you can do that yourself. And I think, and then say, I know I could, but I won't. I'm so grateful to have this done. And cutting corners where you can, because then that's what gives you the time for the self-care, for the guitar practice.
It's funny though. I do think though I'm weird about this too, because there are certain things I won't like. I no longer buy shredded cheese. I have not bought shredded cheese in probably well over a year. And I used to, because again, it was convenient and it was fast, and I love cheese. And it was like easy to add to stuff. But then I stopped buying it, and I thought, see, certain convenience items, I think, like, okay, cubed butternut squash or frozen bagged cauliflower, definitely convenient because it's kind of pushing you to eat healthier. You know,
it makes it
I
easy.
hate that word, but you know what I mean.
No, but you're right. It makes it accessible.
Shredded cheese, yes, now it becomes too accessible, and now I'm adding cheese to everything because, hey,
that is such a fantastic point. It's what you said in the book, and it went in there about, yes, have the cake, but bake it from scratch.
Yes,
that's is it worth it to you? The time investment.
Is it worth it to me to get the grater out and grate the cheese for my tacos? Or you know what? Maybe today I don't feel like that, and so I eat them without the cheese. And is that big of a deal? No. But if I had the bag of grated cheese, I would always add you know what I mean?
Yes, I love that.
And now that I have kids, and they have a job. So if we're having taco night, I pull out the grater. Yes. And when I was a kid, I used to grate the cheese. And so I feel like in a weird way, it's a rite of passage. Is that right? Rite of passage.
Yeah.
Rite of passage. And I think that's how you get kids in the kitchen. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's almost like you have... Sometimes like we shoo the kids away, like, oh, I just got to make dinner. Like, go play on the Xbox, go watch TV. Let me finish this. But
I know, not me. I'm terrible. I feel like, and I'm trying to bring her into it. I'm starting to do that bad thing where I will text her when she's upstairs.
Oh, I do that. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie.
Yes. So she's upstairs doing homework. They'll sometimes get stuff she can do on her iPad, and I'll text her, come down and help me make dinner. Because I think it's so good for them to be part, like you always say, part of the process.
But sometimes I feel like, you know, you've had a long day, and because and again, I don't like the word meditating. But I think cooking for me is one of those times. Yes. I do get into a zone, and I have my radio on. I don't want to talk to anyone. Let me just cut this thing. Let me just fry it, like whatever I'm doing. And I just get lost in it. And so sometimes it's really, and I'm kind of type A. So it's very easy for me to kind of take over and just get lost. And while everyone else is doing something, and then I just, hey, dinner's ready. And then everybody comes down and I'm like, okay, I have to stop doing that. It's a bad precedent that, hey, mom's in the kitchen cooking with the whole family. And then B, I'm not involving them at all. So I don't want a 17-year-old just expect to sit down and have dinner placed in front of him. Like, I have to make the effort. And so in a weird way, not buying shredded cheese is a simple step. So then we have taco night or pizza night. Because I don't even buy shredded Parmesan anymore. I have one of those triangles of Parmesan, and we got to grate it.
See, I love that, because with some of it, like the kiwi is the perfect example. It would just rot because I wouldn't hand, because I have before with the cucumber and she has sliced the skin off her fingers. I wouldn't hand her the peeler and the kiwi. It would end up being a little tiny, like pill-sized thing when she was done peeling it, or she cut herself. This is 2 seconds, but I'm so with you on the cheese.
Yes, I do have Ryan grate the cucumbers now for the salads. Or not great, peel them. You know what I mean?
Yes, the bigger cucumbers, she's better, but with the little kiwis. And I think, last thing on this, you find it meditative, which quite frankly, I would be hard pressed. There's certain things I find meditative where I think, I don't need your help. You just go play. That is better for me. I get resentful. I think, really, you're up playing on the iPad and your dad's sitting there watching football, and it's not meditative. I get resentful, so I bring them in.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm the same way, but after we eat. And now, and they all get up, and I'm like, oh no, no. Because like that's not happening. I'm like, I don't mind cooking. I'm the cook.
That was it growing up. You're right. We cleaned up, but my mom just made.
My husband doesn't like to cook. He doesn't know really how to cook. He doesn't really want to cook. He has no desire to cook. So I'm like, whatever. I'm not going to, he handles dinner on the nights I'm not home, which is fine by me. And they generally eat boxed macaroni and cheese or pizza or whatever. But then when I'm here, I'll cook. But it's the post. Sometimes they'll all take their plate and put it down and then to go sit with their devices. And I'm like, guys, there's still like pots on the thing and the food and that someone's got to put the salad dressing away. And why are salt and pepper still on the table, and who's going to wipe it? And so, yeah, this is a battle. And that's a whole nother podcast, but me being the only woman in the house, and I'm raising 2 boys, it's like sometimes I fear like I don't know what the right thing is to do all the time. Like, I don't know. That's a whole nother podcast.
And I think it is another podcast, but it becomes and this would be interesting to discuss, are there feminine healthy habits and are there masculine healthy habits? Is a feminine healthy habit, I learned food preparation because then if you're in a heterosexual marriage, marry a male and I prepare food for him. And so the male, it's not as important to instill that healthy habit, but maybe others. And it's very stereotypical, but does that still exist? The men need to be strong. And I wonder how much of that has changed.
Or needs to change. Let's say.
Yeah.
All right. So you have a WICKWICKer of the week. Do you not?
I do.
I cannot wait for our WICKWICKer.
I'm not going to out her name because it ties in with the self-care article I did. It's someone we both know and love. Her handle is Bubbly Heart Girl.
Oh, okay. I got you.
And she is such a shining example of someone who does the tough stuff, the PT, the surgery she's needed. She's been doing I've been watching her this whole year really do the things that are not fun, but
necessary.
All in the name of self-care. And she just exemplifies that duality for me of the Mighty article of sometimes the self-care is the hard stuff and it's still self-care. So Bubbly Heart Girl is my WICKWICKer of the week.
Yay.
Love
her maintenance is really inspiring. And I don't remember, I'm not going to do her disservice, but I can't remember how much weight she lost.
I can't either.
It's a significant amount, right? I think it's 100 plus.
I think you're right.
And she's maintained it now years. As long
and
as
with
if
so
not
many
longer.
impediments,
yes,
surgeries, and all this stuff she's taken care of.
Yes,
and still, So she inspires me with the hard self-care.
That's awesome. All right, I think we just wrapped up episode 31. We did it. We're back. So I do want to mention our patreon.com. That's the only thing we have to mention. So as always, WICKWICK.com podcast is free for you, but we incur some expenses. So if you're interested in helping us stay on the air, I'll have the link at the bottom of the YouTube video and also at the bottom of the podcast post. You can donate as little as $1 a month to help keep us going.
And we promise not to spend it all on LaCroix, which rhymes with it really goes to defray hosting costs, that kind of thing.
I feel like we maybe should reach out to them to be a sponsor now.
I know. I love that. Yes, they liked my Instagram post, but that was the extent of it.
Oh, I love when the company interacts. Yes. All right, we are signing off. We will
be back next week.
Yes, WICKWICK.
WICKWICK.
All right. I can edit that and get that up today.
I think it was good. I mean, I think it was we did a great job of not being too narrow focused because we don't want to be. No. If you don't like it, don't listen.
Chatting. Listen to you being all.
I know.
Wait, I still have this.